April 27th, 2017. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 125 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Devol, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
On a recent episode of Gambling with an Edge, they were interviewing author James McManus about a book he wrote back in 2009 called Cowboys Full, The Story of Poker, kind of like a history of poker.
History of poker, good.
And during the interview, they briefly talked about George Devol, who was probably the most famous riverboat gambler of the 1800s.
Okay. Now, why is he famous?
Well, one of the reasons he's famous is because he wrote a book about it.
Oh,
it's like 40 years gambling out. Yeah.
Right.
So, he became so he was kind of known in circles, and then he wrote a book. So it's a free book. It's in the public domain now. You can just go down and download it.
He didn't do anything crazy.
Well, not any. Well, I don't want to say that. There weren't any. I can't think of a specific example that's like. But I mean, he got into fights and shootouts.
Because in those days,
and he was a cheat. There's
he was a cheat.
Absolutely, yeah. He was a cheat, yeah.
All right.
Anybody who won back then at like poker was cheats.
Probably cheating.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way it was back then, right? So, but anyway, listener James asked if I'm related to George Devol in any way. Our last names are spelled exactly the same, although I capitalized the V in the middle of the name, whereas George Devol did not.
You've got two capital letters in your last name.
Correct.
I've always admired that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I always thought that was cool. I don't know why. It's two capital letters.
Well, from what I understand, pretty much everyone with the last name Devol, with that spelling, is related in some way, regardless of capitalization. It's just not that common a name.
Right.
And that's kind of what I've heard from relatives.
Yeah, because you see it spelled like Robert Duvall.
Duval, right, like that. That's way more common. But
common,
this specific spelling is pretty unusual. Well, I know for sure that I'm not a descendant of George Devol, but I'd say it's pretty likely that we have a common ancestor.
Well, how do you know you're not a descendant?
Well, I mean, if I can, trace my family tree back to the 1800s, and he's not there.
So you've already done that.
Yeah. So, but
he's not there.
Yeah.
Maybe he was under an assumed name because, he didn't want to get shot.
Or maybe Devol's not his name now.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we're probably related if we go back maybe, a few generations before that. Right. I do know for a fact that I am related to Frank Devol, the composer, who wrote the theme songs for The Brady Bunch and Family Affair and My Three Sons and a lot of movies. We were watching Whatever Happened to Baby Jane the other night. He did the music for that.
Right.
My grandparents actually met him at a family reunion years ago.
Would you rather be related to a composer who, that's quite a record of things he did, or would you rather be the most famous gambler in the 1800s?
One of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's just say that I'm related to both of them, and that just makes me proud.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'd be saying. Yeah. When this question was asked, you should have just immediately said, "Oh yeah." We're like 22nd cousins or something.
Or I should have said, "Oh yeah, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather." Well, now Mike, my grandfather,
his name is George
Devol.
That's when I saw this. I'm like, well, your grandfather was named George Devol.
Yep. So there you go. There's something's going on here.
So you could honestly say you are related to George Devol.
I said, "Oh yeah, he's my dad's dad. He's my grandfather, George." Yeah. Anytime somebody asks me now, "Are you related to George Devol?" Oh yeah. Sure. Mike and I used to go to Vegas with him. What? Vegas, 1800s?
Oh, he lived a long time.
I guess he did.
He's the last survivor of the 1800s.
That's right. Just died here last year.
Yeah.
Now, this is something we've been meaning to talk about for a while. We went, a while back, we went to Barona, which is one of the tribal casinos out here. And we'd been anxious to get out there because they've got 5 times odds at the craps table, which is good for the around here. And they've got not only the fire bet, but also the sharpshooter bet, which pays when you make a certain number of points that don't have to be unique.
Right.
You could roll like 6 as a point, like 3 times, and you already have won the bet.
Because you know how many times we've done that where we've rolled 5 points, but it's only been like a 6 and a 5.
Yeah.
Right? We had 4 6s or something.
So we went out there, and I was curious as to how you make the bet. Because, on a fire bet, you put it right in front of you.
Right.
Here, the sharpshooter and the fire bet, you just throw them into the center. The stick takes care of it.
And they kind of just place them.
Yeah. It's kind of relative to where you are.
Right.
Yep. So you'd think, this is the kind of thing that we would love. We hated it.
Yeah. And it's funny because Barona's kind of a nice casino.
It is, and it's.
I mean, I like the way it's laid out and everything, and it's got pretty good clientele.
Yes, it's got the best blackjack rules of any of the casinos around here. Yep. The best video poker pay tables of any casino.
They
for
say
sure.
The loosest slots. I don't know how you quantify that. Yeah, but they say that.
Yeah, but what it was the crew.
They were terrible.
It was like we were the enemy.
Yeah, it's like we don't even know you, but we hate you.
And, like the boxman, there were a few times where he was telling people to hit the back wall.
Right.
And it was always without looking at the person. Please hit the back wall. Like they're a robot. They don't look up. It's not personable. And, next time you throw, be sure. No, it was just like, they're on autopilot. Just rude.
Yeah, just rude. And also, it was just this weird, like, they didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was like they hated you, but it was also like, I don't even want to be here. You're an annoyance to me that you showed up at this table.
Yeah. As
weird.
craps players, and that's what we love to do, of course, I don't see us going back there. Again, I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that everything else about the place we like.
Right.
And in fact, Mike, we drove there separately, but after you left, I sat and played some of the stadium blackjack they have. They have stadium blackjack and stadium roulette.
Right.
And it's great because the minimums are lower. I was able to play $3 a hand on stadium blackjack. All the good rules. I think they may hit 17, but 3-2 payout.
Right.
All the good rules and side bets and everything. Yeah, and it was great. I got to take my mom out there because she's always intimidated going to a real blackjack table. Too. And the great thing about stadium blackjack is that you can all sit together. You all get the same hand. You can talk about here's what you should do. Here's what you should do. You can bet different amounts, but
well, it's a much more social game. If you're with a group, it'd be great.
Oh yeah, you can get so many people in a line. Yeah, there's so many. But yeah, I don't see us going back because of that.
I won't go there again. I said after that time, I'm not going there again.
Yeah, there's
no reason for me to go there to feel bad.
Yeah. We did lose. It was terrible. Yeah. But as we've said before, that doesn't have anything to do with how we're going to assess the quality or the enjoyment of a casino. Right. We did happen to lose, so that made it even worse.
Right.
We never even came close to even the sharpshooter, let alone the fire.
No.
So.
Well, we weren't there very long either.
No, it was so bad. We were not there very long.
It was bad, and we just left. But when you're losing, at least if the dealers had said something like, "Oh, this is really going bad, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe let's change the cards," or at Harrah's they'll say stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They'll say, "Oh, this is terrible. Let's change the cards. Ask them if we can change the cards, or let's do something different. Let me pick the dice for you." They do stuff. These guys were like the rude machine.
Yeah, it was like the rude machine. It's not a lot of fun.
Not a lot of fun.
It's we've said it before. That's the most important thing to us at a table is what's the crew like, because basically the rules are going to be pretty much the same no matter where you go. So.
And I don't want to tell people not to go to Barona.
No, and that's why I wanted to also include, some of these other things about it. It's just
I'll tell you what, I won't go there again because I'm going to be playing craps.
Yeah, we're craps players,
and
so
if
we're
they're
not
like
going
that,
back.
and we've had that problem in the past there.
Yes, this is nothing new. This is nothing new.
Yeah, it's happened before, and so you go back, years later, and you think, oh, they'll have mellowed out. No,
well,
it's the same.
I used to go to the poker room there, and it was great.
Right.
I love the poker room there. I haven't been in a long time, but this one thing, the craps cruise.
And why is that?
I don't know.
Why is that?
I don't know.
They have to stand the whole time.
Like any other.
Yeah, like any other dealer, it's too much work.
Yeah.
There's no difference dealing craps than anything else. Why would the blackjack people be nice, or the poker dealers, and the craps people not be?
I don't know.
Maybe they don't get enough tips.
Maybe
there.
Well, another story. Now, a few weeks ago, we were at Harrah's, Southern California, as we always are. And we had been playing for a while, and we took a break. And when we came back to the tables, there wasn't really room for both of us. So you started playing a little bit, and I was watching.
Right.
And then I noticed our friend Mary was over playing Pai Gow Poker. She'd been there for several hours. And, we finally
That's
just noticed her.
That's usually the case.
Yes, hey, there's Mary. She's been here the whole time. So I went over there and started watching her play Pai Gow Poker, and then I started betting on her hand. There are different circles on the table. You can actually bet on somebody's hand along with them.
Kiss of Death, Mark?
Yeah, that's what I was called. That's my new nickname based on, because as soon as I started betting on her hand, it's just like we lost every hand, and then she was out of money and went home. So that's how bad it was. But something happened at the table. I don't even think I told you about this, Mike. Maybe I did. But anyway, it was going badly. But on one of the hands, the dealer turned over his hand, and he had a straight with a king in the 2-card hand, which is a very good hand
it's a
for anybody
hand.
to have.
Yeah.
as a player, you hope to push against that hand, right?
But as a dealer, you're going to win more than you're going to lose.
Yeah, so it's a good hand. So the guy in first position, he saw it, and he immediately left the table. He was out of money.
Yeah.
And then it came to us. I think we pushed. I think we had the king beat up top. And as he's starting to go around the table, I looked and I noticed that he also had a flush.
Okay.
A flush with like a terrible 2-card hand, like it was a flush 7-5 or something. Right.
So a hand that's going to beat nobody, but probably push almost everybody.
Right. And clearly, the better way to play that was the way the dealer had done it, with a straight and the king up top.
Right.
But at casinos, when they teach the Pai Gow Poker dealers how to set hands, they have a set of house rules on how to set all the hands.
Right.
And these rules they keep them fairly simple.
Right.
So that the dealers don't have to memorize a lot of different combinations.
Sure.
And I had remembered, at least at a casino where I'd seen house rules before, that one of the rules was if you've got a flush and a straight, always play the flush.
Right. Well, that makes sense if you think about it.
It's because it keeps the rule easy.
It keeps the rule easy, but in the long run, the house is going to be... They're okay to push. They're going to be there forever. Mm-hmm. So they're okay to push this hand. They're not going to lose it.
Because they're going, and in the long run, they're taking 5% of all the winnings, right? So right. And there might be a caveat on the rule, like, always play the flush unless you can play like a pair with the straight or something. I don't know. There's always some kind of,
sure.
something else
like
that.
If you had a straight and a pair, you'd definitely do that.
So I brought it up. I said, hey, wait a second. You've also got a flush. I think that's the way you're supposed to play it. And it's funny because the player next to me said, no. And I turned to the player and I said, no, I know it's wrong. That, if you're a good Pai Gow Poker player, you'd never do that. But I'll bet you that the house rule here says it. Uh-huh. And so they called over the pit, who happened to be Mario.
Okay.
Who, used to be a dealer. We know him real well. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, we have to play the flush. And so
now, what about the guy that walked away already?
He pushed. So they put his bet aside because he thought he had lost, and then he walked away.
Right.
And it turned out it was a push. And as we went around the table, sure enough, I was worried. It's like, oh boy, I'm going to bring this attention, and it's going to mess somebody else. I know. But as it turned out, yet another player, there was a woman at the end of the table. She would have lost, and she ended up pushing when he played the flush.
And all the rest of the people probably were going to push either way.
Right, either way.
Right.
So I actually, helped the players. So, I just thought it was kind of interesting and something to keep in mind too. The dealer just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right. It was actually a joker. He had a joker in the hand, so the joker was filling in a straight or a flush. So that's probably why he missed it right away. Yeah, right.
Ace of straights and flushes.
Mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty good story.
It's a good story, but did the guy come back and get his money?
I never know what I don't know because Mary went home. She a few hands later, and then I ended up meeting up with you at the craps table again. So I don't know.
Well, they know
happened.
his name because he probably had a card.
Yeah.
So there's no reason they shouldn't get the money back to him.
I think
somehow.
So. Next time we see Mario, I'll remind him and see if he'll remember it. And,
see how that works out.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if he doesn't come back, do they actually track him down? Because they have his name in the computer.
Yeah, some places do. They'll look around. Hey, there he is.
Or next time he clocked in somewhere, they'd say, hey, it says in our computer here that you left some money and here's your money.
I remember years ago at Las Vegas Club, I was playing craps and 7 came up and I just ran away from the tables. Like, I can't believe this. No, it turned out it was the come out roll. Oh. And I thought
you were just screwed up.
I thought it'd been a 7 out.
Right.
So I left, and then later on, I'm walking around the casino. Hey, there he is. They found me, and they gave me the chips back. That
I don't know if you should tell that story here.
Oh, I was young. Yeah. This is the Las Vegas Club. This was back before it stunk.
Right.
So that
was a long time. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that the Vegas Club ever did not stink.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe that's another reason I ran away from the table.
Yeah,
7 out, plus it stinks. I'm out of here. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link that's kind of at the top of the page. It's a little bit down from the top of the page.
How far's a little?
Well, not that bad, but it's not at the very top. And, some people have been having trouble finding it. So, it's a little bit down from the top, and it's a banner. It says Amazon.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I can't find anything.
All right, it's time for our voicemail hotline segment. Hey, remember, call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Matt.
Hey guys, it's Matt from California. Quick question regarding your opinion on this crap strategy. So I'm a $5 table player, most comfortable there, maybe 10, absolutely not 25. However, a couple weeks ago in Vegas, I was really drawn to the Bellagio or Caesars kind of craps area. Great atmosphere, really loud, really exciting. Dealers seemed really nice. And I thought, what if I played no pass line, obviously no odds, and then took maybe $30 placing the 6 and the 8, or the 6 or 8, depending on how the rolls go, and then pressing that up 60, 90, maybe 120 before pulling it back. What are your thoughts on playing higher denomination, place bets, no pass line? Thanks, guys. Bye.
I couldn't believe when we got this call.
I know.
Because
that's what I'm thinking as he's saying it.
This is exactly what I've been doing, playing with you, Dr. Mike, recently.
Right. When we go to a $25 table, which sometimes happens, I mean, you know, I'm fine playing at the 5 or 10 or 15.
When we've been going lately, they're just too crowded.
They're all crowded, and we get there kind of, you know, later evening, and it's like the 25 is the only one open. So that's fine for me, and I'm happy.
Yep.
And we go there, but that's a little out of your comfort zone. So, yeah, you've been doing exactly the same thing. 6 and 8 for 30
I don't
each.
make a pass line bet, and then once the point established, 6. Now, I don't press, and I wouldn't recommend pressing unless you really get on a hot roll, because if you press right from the beginning, I think you're going to lose your bankroll pretty quickly. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't press, but you know, maybe after a few of them have repeated, I'll start pressing. But
if you had repeated a few, you'd probably press, or you might take another number.
Yeah. Right. If
place the point.
Place the point. That's usually what I'll do if the point isn't 6 or 8. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing.
It's funny. And now when it's Mark's turn to roll, he sometimes passes, but when he wants to roll, he'll just put a quarter on the line and not take odds.
Correct.
And I take his odds.
Yes.
And then, you know, you just have that quarter invested.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, maybe you had a 5 or a 9, right? All right, you just got that quarter on the line.
Well, and, you know, you put a quarter on the pass line, that's still, you know, 1.41% house advantage.
Right.
So that's better than placing the 6 or the 8. You know, 7-11 on the come out, boom, I've already won the $25, right? So that's also a good way to go. But
that's great the way you play.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic when if 7-11 comes up. But if 2-3-12 comes up, devastating for the way that I play. No, that's exactly what we've been doing.
That's funny. Well, you know, your advice is do that.
Yeah.
Well, it always is good advice if you're at a table where the limits are too high for you, but you want to play there for some reason anyway. Like at Bellagio. We've always said, you know, we love playing at Bellagio, but the limits are kind of high.
Yep.
You just adjust the way you play, right? Yep. You can have just as much fun. Some guy makes a bunch of 6s or 8s.
I mean, you know, 30 each on the 6 and 8, that's like having a $5 come bet with 25 odds on each of them.
Right.
Right? I mean, you're missing out on that come out roll, but yeah. So on a recent episode, we were talking about what do you do, Dr. Mike, with hardways on the come out roll? We do have a call kind of related to that.
All right.
Hey, Mike, Dave from Northern New Jersey. Love your show. Listen, I just had a comment about the hardways question with the come out rolls. Why is it that Vegas is the only one that's different about that? Anywhere else you go, hardways are automatically off. They don't even ask you. Vegas, if you don't say anything, they're automatically on. Most dealers will ask you, and it seems to me like for them it's a pain in the butt to have to ask every time. Why don't they just make it off like the rest of the world? Anyway, looking forward to playing with you guys when we meet in May for the 360 Vegas vacation. Have a good one. Thanks. Keep up the good work.
I'm with Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just make it off and never have to ask? It's the asking part.
We don't have an answer to the question. Why? No. Well, here's the thing. It varies from casino to casino. This is something that is not consistent amongst all crap tables.
Right.
Some casinos, the hardways are automatically off on the come out roll. In some casinos, they're always on the come out roll. And if you don't know, you have to ask. I wouldn't be surprised if there are even some Las Vegas casinos that are different from the other Vegas casinos.
No, I'm sure there are.
You always, as a player, you need to find out, hey, you know, are the hardways automatically on or off on the come out roll? Who knows why it is?
Typically, though, if they are on, they usually do announce hardways are working, less called off.
Yeah, that's a very
now,
common
if you're not paying
thing
attention, you might miss that.
Yeah.
But they almost always say that at places where they're off.
Yeah.
Now, where they're off, like at Harrah's Rincon, They never announce it.
Yeah.
They're just off.
They're just off.
And I mean, they don't say, hey, they're off. If you want them working, you got to say something.
Yeah.
They're just off. They never say anything. So, you'll see new people come out there and they, oh, well, I hit that. No, they're all off unless you told us to turn them on.
Now, it's to the casino's advantage to have them working.
Right.
The casinos want all bets working all the time.
Right.
So,
And I think that's why that's that way in Vegas.
probably.
I mean,
why it's different. Why it's different in other casinos, I
Right.
don't know. Yeah. All right, let's hear from Marty.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Marty from Northern California. Hey, last weekend I was out in Vegas for the Academy Country Music Awards, and after the show, which was at T-Mobile, I stopped in what is eventually going to be called the Park, but is still Monte Carlo, and they've got something on their dice game which I have not seen on another game yet. They've got a side bet, so no fire bet, no all tall small, but they've got something called the Golden Dice Payout. And how it works is you make a bet up, $5 or $10 or even $1 before the guy comes out the first time. And then what this does is it pays based on the number of passes that the shooter has. And so if a guy throws, 4 sevens in a row, that's considered 4 passes. And so the way this thing works is 4 passes pays even money, 5 or 6 passes pays 4 to 1, 7 or 8 pay 10 to 1, 9 or 10 pay 25 to 1, 11 or 12 pay 50 to 1. If they make 13 to 14 passes, it pays 100 to 1. 15 or 16 passes, 1,000 to 1. 17 to 19 passes, 2,000 to 1. And if they hit more than 20 passes, it pays 5,000 to 1. Anyway, interesting bet. It's probably worth throwing a buck out there every time. You just never know. Sometimes a guy comes out with a couple of 7s and a few 11s, and, you kind of get up to that probably 5 or 6 times pretty easy. Anyway, interesting bet. Never seen it anywhere else except Monte Carlo. Anyway, love the show, guys. Have a great weekend. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, the Golden Dice Challenge.
Yeah, we talked about this
We have
before.
talked about it before. The only place that we had heard it was being offered was MGM Detroit. So this is news to us that it's now being offered at Monte Carlo. Yeah. The one nice thing about the bet is that if the shooter rolls a 2, 3, or 12 on the come out,
Right.
that doesn't count against him.
Yeah, don't count against him.
Right. So it's how many passes is a shooter going to make? And it doesn't matter how many passes he doesn't make.
Right.
Right. It's just until the 7 out, basically.
Right.
So yeah. Throwing out a buck, that's fine. This has a huge house edge, though, over 27%.
Yeah, well, you think about it. How many times to get to a 4 limit, okay, unless you've rolled a couple 7s or an 11 on the come out, you've got to make 4 points.
Yeah,
okay, that's pretty difficult in itself. And how many times have we seen a shooter, they'll roll a couple 7s. Sometimes I've seen 3 or 4 7s on the come out, and you're going to win that. But how many times is this, they rolled an 8?
Yeah, right. It's true. I imagine that this usually gets paid off when, yes, the shooter on the come out roll just, 7, 11, 3, 11, 7. Oh, there's 4 right there. And then everything after that's gravy.
Right. And then everything's gravy. And if you happen to make a couple of points, you've got a 6.
Yeah.
I mean, what would it take to get to 20? Think about that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd like to go to a place that's had this for a while and just ask a dealer, so you guys have had this for 2 years. Has anyone ever hit 20?
That's a good question. Well, if anybody goes to MGM Detroit and plays some craps there, ask about the Golden Dice Challenge and, how often they've hit some of the bigger numbers. Maybe next time
even 1,000 to 1 payout for 1,000 to 1 would be very hard to do.
Maybe next time we play, if we go this weekend, I'll start keeping track of how many passes each shooter makes.
There you go.
Because it's something I've never done before.
Yeah.
They always love it when I bring out my pad and start writing stuff down. Yeah.
What's so funny is it'll be something stupid like that, and they'll be intrigued, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And people are asking, "Are you trying to figure out some kind of system or anything?" And then you just, "No, I'm just keeping how many passes everybody makes." It makes, why? It's like, I don't know, because I
have a show.
Yeah.
That's my answer. I have a show. All right. Next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is James calling from Salt Lake City. Just wanted to give you a report about playing craps in Wendover, Nevada, where they have $5 minimums with 10 times odds. Specifically, I played at the Peppermill Casino, and just wanted to mention a good experience that I had playing next to a don't player. He was betting pretty big, betting the don't, but my strategy is similar to what Marcus talks about quite a bit, which is just betting pass line bet with 2 come bets. And whenever he was rolling, the don't player, he would roll quite a few numbers before 7ing out. So I would win quite a few of my come bets, and then he would eventually win his don't bet because he'd 7 out. So it worked out well for both of us, where both of us were able to walk away winners from the table. I just bought in for about $300 and bet the pass line with 2 come bets. And I was betting 3, 4, 5 times odds, even though it was a 10 times odd table, just because it worked better for my bankroll. But he was betting $100 at a time with full odds on the don't, and seemed to be doing pretty well also. So just wanted to report a good experience of playing the pass line against sort of a don't better, and both of us being able to walk away winners from the table because, like I said, he was rolling a lot of numbers before 7ing out, and so a lot of my come bets were winning. Anyway, really good experience. I bought in for 300, cashed out for 5, just maybe about an hour and a half session. And it was a really good time, and it was a really respectful don't player that was actually enjoyable to play with. So anyway, thanks for a great podcast, and look forward to your show next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Everybody getting along?
There's actually no reason it shouldn't always be like that.
Well, other than math, but
well, no,
I
mean the nice part.
Okay,
winning or losing. I mean, you shouldn't get too upset at a
I see what you're saying. The way people are acting.
The way people act.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it should always be. Yeah, I understand the math.
Okay.
But I can't control people.
Yes. No. Right. Right.
And actually, we played with plenty of don't players. You play the don't sometime right next to me.
I know. When
there are times when we both win, and it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect because my odds are working on the come out roll, and that's when the 7 comes up, and it's like
there are times when I'm losing miserably and you're winning, and I'm mad, but I'm not mad at you. I'm mad because I'm losing.
All right. Well, you say you're not mad at me, but you make comments. All right.
I know.
No, Mark's not going to roll. He's only betting the don't.
No, right.
And that's how you say it. That's your inflection.
Well, I'm not mad that you're betting the don't.
You're just mad that you're losing.
I'm mad that I'm losing,
right,
and I'm taking it out on you. There's a difference there. But then you did that a while back, and then you switched.
Yeah. Oh, I know. There was that one night where I was on the don't just getting slaughtered. And I thought, well, I'm going to switch and now it's going to go cold. But no, it stayed hot I had a big comeback. So that was nice. Yeah,
I
know.
A huge comeback.
I know. Well, that was a good story from James. Here's a story from Will that's not quite so good.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Will from North Carolina again. I just finished up the Vegas trip. I want to tell you guys a little bit about it. Now, normally it's the winning stories that are the more interesting things about the trip. But in my case, I thought there were a couple parts of my rolling that I was losing that I thought were pretty interesting. So pretty much the whole trip I was playing pretty conservatively. I had some good sessions, had some bad sessions, but pretty much I ended up evening out. So on the last day, I'm like, okay, this is my last chance. I'm just going to go all out. So I went as aggressively as I could, and I got slaughtered on that table. Here's a great example of something that happened. I remember a while back you guys talked about the pros and the cons of come bets and place bets. Well, the cons of both hit me really hard. So one time I was rolling, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to make continuous come bets, and that's all I decided to do. I proceeded to somehow get a come bet up on every single number and hit a couple of 2s and 3s along the way, and then 7 out without hitting a single one of my come bets. That was frustrating and bad enough. But then the shooter after me, she was a new player, and I was like, okay, I know she's going to roll well. So after she establishes her point, I decide to place all of the numbers. She proceeds to roll 3 11s in a row and then 7 out. So I didn't win a single bit on that either. And I couldn't believe it. If I just flip-flopped my strategies, I actually would have done okay. But I got killed both times, and that's exactly the way that table was. It just, everything was going against us. It wasn't just me. Everybody was getting slaughtered. One by one, every single player was being eliminated from the table. It was like something out of a movie. So one by one, everybody was leaving because they were out of money. I was the last one left, and I had $10 left. So I put 5 on the line. And guess what? I roll a 2. So I even told the dealers, all right, this is my last $5, and I put it on the line. I roll a 7. And the dealer jokes, hey, man, why don't you just stack it up? So I decided to take that 5, put it on top of my line bet, my last $10 again, and guess what? I roll a 3. Me and the dealers just busted out laughing at that point. We just couldn't believe it. It was so bad, it was just comical. It was like there was some mystical force around this table that was determined to just make everybody leave. And that's the thing. It's like you guys said, if you can't handle losing, you shouldn't be gambling. And, you know, it's frustrating. You get a little bit mad about it. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to laugh about it. And it just ends up becoming a funny story. And, when it goes bad like this, it makes you appreciate the really good rolls even more. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting way I ended up losing. All right, thanks, guys. I always appreciate it. Bye.
He's living our life.
That's right, living our lives. When things go so perfectly bad, it's hard to believe.
It's hard. And we always say, can you believe that happened? I mean, I can't tell you how many times we said that to each other. And it's like, that is the perfect bad scenario, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you sit down and try and figure it out, you can't come up with anything worse, right? It's just the worst possible thing. And every once in a while, you'll get a little bone. Oh, it's turning around.
Yeah.
And then boom, it slaps you in the face. Oh my God. Now, I know the math. I'm going to say this up front.
Okay.
So you don't have to even say that.
All right.
But how many times have we been in Harris Rincon and on the come out roll, it's like a 3 or a 12 or something, and I parlay my world bet to the horn.
Yeah, he always makes a whirl or a horn bet.
And it does sometimes hit.
Yeah.
But how many times has it? The next roll's a 6, so
And you make a point, yeah.
I lose all that, and then
you establish
and the
a
roll
point,
after that is 3, and then a 2, and then an 11, and then a 7 out.
Yeah.
It's like, how in the world does that happen?
Yeah. Is this a rhetorical question, or should I really give you the answer?
No, don't give me the answer. It's rhetorical.
Okay.
But it's funny because the dealers now out there, they're like, yeah, Mike, every time.
Yeah.
And they're like, just on after the 6 is made, go ahead and put a horn bet out.
Always make a horn bet.
Make another horn
as
bet.
As soon as a point is established, the next roll, make a horn bet.
Yeah, and that'll stop everything because 8 will come up.
That's right. So
then it'll be 2, 3,
either
12, 7
it'll
out.
stop it or you'll break the bank.
Yeah,
So
or
how
I'll
about
break
that?
the bank.
Yeah.
Oh God, but it's like, how does that happen? I mean, you swear they've got some button underneath there that they push. Let's just get this guy. Let's just do the worst possible
They
thing.
don't want to hurt you, Mike. They like you.
I know they do, but I just, it's frustrating. The thing is, he hit the nail on the head. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Sure.
I mean, we don't get violently mad or,
No.
we don't cuss at the dealer.
No, never. No, no,
We
no,
never
no.
do anything like that. It's
No.
just so frustrating.
Sure.
And you want to like slam your fist into the table.
It's frustrating because you're beating the odds.
Right.
And that's why you're at the casino, to beat the odds. And
Yeah.
when you're beating the odds
The wrong
it's
way.
exactly the wrong way. It's frustrating. Yeah.
Because you do sometimes beat the odds the other way.
Yeah, you do.
And you feel great. And I guess there's some guy up in the main office. Oh, darn it. How'd that guy roll 6?
I forgot to
the
press the
fire?
button. Yeah. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, this is Doug from Northern California. Hey, I'm all caught up on the show, so I started looking at some prior shows, and I caught one from September 3rd, 2015, and you guys were talking about promotion where a casino would give you cash or promo chips, and you get to choose. And the consensus was pretty much there's no difference, might as well take the cash. But there actually is a difference. If you're playing promo chips, the promo chips that I've seen or received, they're play till you lose. So in theory, if you were playing $100 a hand and you won 10 hands in a row, you would collect that 1,000 and still have your promo chip left. So I'm not sure if that's how all promo chips work, but there is a difference there if you decided to just try your luck out instead of just taking the cash. Anyways, love the show. Bye.
Yeah, that was one of our more embarrassing episodes because the question to us was, if you could take free play or cash for the same amount, which would you take? And immediately we both said, cash, of course.
Well,
why wouldn't you take the
intuitively,
cash?
that seems the best way to go.
But it was so aggravating because we completely forgot about the tax implications. And what was really embarrassing is that previously we had talked about, you'd want to take free play because of the tax, reasons. And for whatever reason, we just zoned on that show.
Yeah.
So
we bought well drinks for everybody except Doug.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we kind of backstep and said, well, yeah, if you're getting, these promo chips that are play till you lose or cash, maybe you go with the promo chips because of tax purposes, right?
Right. It depends on the implications of the tax.
Exactly. Sure. If it's $20, a big deal, right? But if you're talking about 1,000,
yeah. Well, when I've gotten several thousand before, and then they tax you on it, that's when you want the promo.
But specifically to Doug's point, now he was saying, well, if you had a promo chip that play till you lose for $100, well, it just stays out there, so that's better than cash.
It's no different.
It's like having a $100 bill out there that doesn't play till you lose, right? It still stays out there.
Well, but you might take the $100 bill back at some point. The promo chip you'd leave out there.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Because you got to play that, right?
Yeah. So,
theoretically, it is like having $100 out there, but psychologically, if you had $100 out there and it won 5 times in a row, you might say, I'm done. I'm getting out of here.
Well, that's true.
But the promo chip, you can't do that.
You have to keep playing.
You got to keep playing.
So it's psychological. So like we said, for tax purposes, maybe it's better to take promo chips. However, if the promo chips are not play to you lose,
right?
If they will,
which they usually aren't.
Well, they, at Harrah's where we go, they are not play till you lose.
Right.
They'll take it whether you win or lose the bet.
Right.
If that's the case, absolutely go for the cash.
Right.
If you could have $100 in cash or $100 in these chips where they take them win or lose,
right,
you absolutely want to go for the cash because those promo chips, $100 worth, their real value is like $50.
Right.
Because of that. Yeah. Right. Because you're gambling, right? So it's whatever the house edge is, off of that $50. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear about Atlantic City from Vinny.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Dr. Mike. It's Vinny from Long Island, from the East Coast again. Just wanted to drop by with a trip report. Spent the last 4 nights, in Atlantic City. The Borgata Spring Open was happening, which is a series of tournaments, and played in a few of those. Happy to say I made a couple day twos, cashed 2 of the 3 tournaments. Unfortunately, I put in probably more than 30, 35 hours of work for the kind of minimal cashes, but it was definitely a great time. I spent the first 2 nights, Wednesday night and Thursday night at Harrah's. I've been a little down on Harrah's lately. Been a little bit of a crime, I guess you can say, that was reported there. Some guns being pulled, some fights, I'm hearing about over the past few months. So I was a little weary about it, but happy to say when I got there on a Wednesday night, midweek, was upgraded to a suite. And I had never been in a suite before at Harrah's. Usually get the waterfront rooms, which are okay at best. Put me in a suite in the waterfront, which was bigger than suites I've seen in Vegas. It was pretty mammoth. Almost too big, to the point where at night you gotta kind of walk around, shut off all the lights, make sure all the air conditioners on. There was 3 different, air conditioner units, 3 different bathrooms.
That's me.
Yeah,
that's me. It can be too big. It's annoying. I had to turn all these lights off.
Well, it was funny, Mike, when we went to Harrah's, Atlantic City, you got a suite where we were both going to stay.
Right.
And it was huge, but it was just 1 king-size bed.
Right.
Right?
It was one of the biggest suites.
Yeah.
And it had 1 king-size bed.
That's not uncommon, I think. But, in fairness,
when you go down, we're 2 guys.
Yeah, we're married. We're both married to other people.
Yeah. I would have been fine with that size room and 2 single beds.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I only need a single bed. a wide single bed.
No, I know.
But I'm very happy to see that they, midweek were able to treat me like, upgrading for free to that room. Had a couple good crap sections, hit some all small talls, so I started off the trip pretty good, pretty hot. I would say come Friday, when I went over to Borgata, though, definitely got in a little bit of a rut, caught in a slot machine there for a little more than I wanted, but day that I have as much money in my pocket as I left with. So I've had a great little crap session this morning. I got my couple $100 in match play, brought it over to Pai Gow. Was able to get, a good starting roll for a crap session. Went over to a table. A couple hard 10s got hit, kept parlaying, and, was able away with, again, just as much as I came with. So I just wanted to give a little trip report. It was a great time, as always. Do appreciate all that you guys do. And, also, one other thing, I did notice as I was kind of walking the boardwalk, I tend to take a trip down there, even if it's just walking for a few hours, that it looks like the Showboat has something opening soon. So I heard something about a gaming expo, which I don't know really what that means. So I was hoping you guys could give some insight on that if you heard anything. But thanks again for everything you guys do, and I'll call back in a few weeks when I go to Atlantic City again. Thanks.
Good. Thanks for the report, Vinny. Yeah, so the Showboat is going to be hosting the Atlantic City Fan Expo, which is kind of like a Comic-Con, but way more emphasis on video games. They're going to have like online gaming and retro gaming and, a lot of panels and everything.
Not gambling gaming.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, video gaming. E-games, that kind of thing. Yeah. In fact, on last week's episode of Due for a Win, they interviewed Sean Smith, who is one of the co-founders of the Fan Expo. So be sure to go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. He goes into a lot of, what they're planning. It's going to be, over the summer. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Final call.
Hi guys, this is John in Washington D.C. Just calling with a trip report from the MGM National Harbor. I just went there. It's a Sunday afternoon. pretty busy. A lot of the other callers have said similar things about the layout being very nice and the games being pretty prevalent. And the craps tables were, of course, 25 minimum seemed to be the going rate. However, I played blackjack, and there was a ton of blackjack tables available. However, they were pretty much all, except for apparently a few in the VIP high roller rooms. They were automatic card shufflers, or continuous card shufflers rather, paying 6 to 5 on blackjack and dealer hitting on soft 17. So just not the rules you want to see at a table, but the minimums, of course, down to like 15 up to 25, but throughout the same setup. So for a blackjack player, that's a little discouraging because I sat down, bought in with my amounts, and over the course of 3 hours ended up pretty much just getting out of the game at even, going up and down. I actually got about 6 or 7 blackjacks, but when betting the minimum, I was getting a couple extra bucks thrown in. So it was really just completely like not even worth getting the blackjack. It was almost like, here's 3 white chips for you just so you feel better. You can tip the cocktail waitress. Anyway, I would say Maryland Live, their competitor, is a much better option for blackjack players. They tend to have 3-2 payouts on almost all the tables. They do also use the continuous shuffler, but they have just the better payout. I think also there it's stand on all 17, so that's a much better rule overall. Anyway, I love the show, and big fan, and we'll keep listening. Thank you.
Yeah, weren't the guys that you met up with at MGM National Harbor, weren't they telling you Maryland Live
they
for
liked Maryland
lower
Live.
limits and stuff? Yeah.
Right, lower limits and better rules.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny, too, because you think that casinos, especially ones that are close and kind of in competition with each other, I don't know that any casino is really in competition with another because gamblers love to go different places.
Yeah.
So when their luck's bad here, they go there.
Yeah.
So you're going to get those people anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like you're in competition like, I'm never going back to that place. No, the place you're at, as soon as your luck's bad, you go to that place.
Yeah.
So
if it's reasonable to go to the other place.
Yeah, if it's reasonable, right. But what I mean by in competition, they're close enough that, when you're leaving your house, you're like, well, should I go to that one or this one?
Yeah.
And you go to one because of whatever reason, you would think that they would tend to have similar rules and similar limits to kind of draw people. But if business is there...
You see, that's the thing. I think
the
in
thing.
this case, MGM National Harbor is just doing a bang-up business, right? It's always crowded.
Right.
So they don't really have any competition, sort of, if you know what I'm saying, right? At
Because
this
their
point,
tables are full.
Yeah.
Now, when the tables aren't full, then they got to come down and they got to get people from that other place.
Yeah.
It's like MGM National Harbor probably doesn't have to have a giveaway. Out here, the local Indian casinos, the newest one always has the most giveaways.
Yeah, that's true. At the Hollywood Casino now here, it has a lot of different giveaways.
God,
every week it's something,
Yeah, they got ones that run the whole week. I got a flyer yesterday. Did you get this flyer?
I don't think so.
It's like every day of the week there's a giveaway.
Really? No.
Every day.
I'll check. I don't think I got
And it's like all
some.
beach stuff. One day it's a beach chair. One day it's a tote thing. One day it's like 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
They're
trying to get people out there.
Yeah, Harrah's will have one a week maybe.
Yeah.
They're going to get 5 days in a row. They're going to get people out there, right?
Yeah.
The problem is until people stop going to a 6-5 blackjack table, they're going to have 6-5 blackjack.
Yeah, and we've talked about till we were blue in the face, and 6-5's not going anywhere.
It's like the Padres.
Too many people.
Let me tell you, it's exactly like the Padres, because the Padres draw 2 million fans plus the last few years.
Yeah.
Why would the owners spend any money and get any decent players if 2 million people are going to come when you're in last place?
Well, you could say that about the Cubs. That was what they'd always say about the Cubs was, there's no reason to put money behind it.
The Cubs actually want to win, but the owners who own the Padres now, they want to make profit.
Yeah.
They do not want to win.
Yeah.
The Cub owners actually wanted to win.
Okay.
It just didn't work for them.
Yeah, all right.
But seriously, that the Padre owners now are out for one thing, profit.
Mm-hmm.
And if 2 million people are going to come to see a last place team, they're not going to spend more money than they have to. And as a businessman, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's the same with MGM, right? If people are going to come and sit and play 6-5 blackjack and they got full tables, they're going to play $25 6-5 blackjack out of a continuously shuffling shoe.
Yeah.
Then why change?
Yeah, we could sit here all day long and talk about how team owners should respect the fans,
right?
How casinos should respect the players, but I don't know that we're going to get anywhere with that.
And it'd make for an awfully long episode.
Or a very short one.
Yeah. Well, it'd be long because I got a lot to say.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, let's move on to our gambling scene. We haven't done this segment for a little while. Last time we did do this segment, we had a realistic gambling scene from a relatively obscure movie. It was I Love You Man, that short poker scene from that. Well, this time we've got a not very realistic gambling scene from a huge movie, Rain Man.
Yeah.
One of the biggest movies of all time.
That's a good scene,
Yeah.
too.
For those who are not familiar with the movie, Rain Man stars Tom Cruise as a man who discovers he has an older brother who is an autistic savant, played by Dustin Hoffman. It's sort of a road movie, and eventually the pair ends up in Las Vegas, where Tom Cruise's character uses his brother's talent for counting cards to win at the blackjack tables. Now, I've edited this clip down quite a bit because they're long stretches without a lot of meaningful audio, but let's take a listen to them first practicing counting and then going and playing at the table and finally getting some heat from the pit.
Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
You watching that?
Yeah.
You seeing that, Ray? You catching that?
Yeah, falling on
Yeah?
the ground.
Okay, now what do I have left?
2 jacks, 1 8, 1 king, 1 6. 2 aces, 1 10, 1 9, 1 5.
1 5. Yeah. You are beautiful, man.
I'm an excellent driver.
You can't drive now, Ray. Now, you listen to me, this is very important. So when there's lots of 10s left, 10s and picture cards, and it's good for us. Now, come on, say it. 10s are good.
10s are good.
Okay, you're gonna bet 1.
1 if it's bad, 2 if it's good.
That's right. Two if it's good, Ray. Now listen, casinos have house rules.
Yeah.
The first one is they don't like to lose. So you never show that you are counting cards. That is the cardinal sin, Ray. Are you listening to me? That's very, very important.
Yeah. Counting is bad.
Yes, counting is bad. Rain Man?
Yeah.
Let's play some cards.
Yeah. You want to hit?
No, you don't want to hit, Ray. You've got 18.
Want to hit.
So you have 18. You don't want to hit. He doesn't want to hit. Hit me.
Definitely want to hit.
Hitting 18. He doesn't want to hit.
Hit me.
Don't. You took my queen, Ray. I've got a 10. I needed that queen. I can't take your queen.
Sir, please don't touch the cards.
I need my own queen, Ray.
There's lots of them.
There's lots of them?
Lots and lots of them.
Hold on here for a second. I'm gonna double down.
Queen.
Yes, sir. You gotta love this town. I'm going for it, Nick.
Looks like it, sir. Looks like it.
You wanna bet 1 chip or 2 chips, Ray?
Bet 2.
Bet 2?
Hey, what's your secret, guys?
You cheat.
This is Sam. Table 47. About 85,000.
85,000?
Yeah.
Call the guy in the sky.
Sam did.
Sam did? Okay, I'll take over. You're doing well. I'm happy for you.
What do you see?
Well, he's not catching the hold card, and he's not past posting us.
I don't see him using a computer.
No, he's not, but something's not right. You know there's no one in the world can count into a 6-deck shoot.
Okay, so it's a good scene, and they get comped this huge suite at Caesar's Palace, and of course, it's a great movie. But I definitely have some issues with the whole scene.
Well, things they do, the gambling things, are not right.
How so?
Well, because when he's counting, I mean, they never go to the end of a shoe.
Oh, see, yeah, that's the thing, is that one of the things
that's the most obvious thing.
At the end, it says, there's nobody in the world who can count down, a shoe like that. And it's, first of all, yes, there are people. If you're just talking about counting cards.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you're talking about actually knowing how many the exact cards that are left,
right.
Okay, yeah, maybe nobody can do that.
Well,
but like you said,
it counts higher, but you can't tell how many cards are.
Yeah, that's the thing is, when they were ready to shuffle again, they probably have 2 decks, that they haven't even dealt, right? So how much can that help you, right?
At least 2 decks.
Right. So that's unrealistic. Right. Plus, at the beginning when they start playing, this doesn't make any sense. Rain Man wants to take a hit. He's got 18 and he wants to take a hit. He insists on it. Right? And he finally takes a hit. And then, Tom Cruise's character is all mad. Why'd you do that? It's like, don't worry, there are a lot of queens left.
Right.
Well, if Rain Man knew there were a lot of queens left, why did he take the hit? Why was he so insistent on taking the hit?
Right.
I don't understand. And then the other thing is, and this was really what it comes down to, is counting cards is really a grind.
Right.
You know, you may have a big session, but the edge that you have as a card counter is so small that it's really a grind. And, you know, typically...
You're playing for the long run when you're counting cards.
Right. And this made it seem like every hand they were winning, no matter what, because he was counting cards, you know.
No, and all the count can tell you is that you have a good chance of winning that hand. Doesn't mean you're going to win that hand.
So you bet more on that, but there's no guarantee. Yeah.
But there's no guarantee because you can get 12 and then the 10 comes, you know, it's... Yeah, that's the part about the movie that got to me.
Yeah. But, you know, it's a very entertaining film, of course. It's a classic. And, you know, even though we've got, I guess, kind of nitpicky things, because the general public's, you know, not going to look at that.
Although the general public's looking at that and thinking, here's a guy who knows every card in the order that they're in there. And that's what they think counting is.
That's what it kind of seems like is, he knows exactly what the next card coming out is, and nobody knows that,
the exact order.
Unless the cards are marked.
And people who don't understand counting think that's what a counter's doing. Like, oh, they know a 4's coming up, so I've got 17, I better hit. And that's not the case.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Brian and Sarah. Thanks very much. And also from Zach. Thank you. We also got a PayPal donation from another Brian. Thank you. And one from our buddy Andrew. He said it's a karma donation for the 10th trip with my brother next weekend. Looking forward to seeing you and Dr. Mike in a month at Vegas Vacation 4. Yeah, we're looking for that. Boy, that's coming up here soon.
It's very soon.
I know.
Well, Monday, this coming Monday is
like a month
May.
away. Yeah, I know. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings, towards the top and over on the right.
Yeah, somewhere on the page.
Sure. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Oh, the Kentucky Derby's coming up. I forgot to talk about that. I had in the show notes here where it's going to actually be a week from Saturday. So it will run
not this Saturday,
but the next one. So the next episode we have out, it'll be after the Kentucky Derby. So we'll have to see how we do on that. I don't know.
Yeah. See how we do.
Yeah. Anything else, Dr. Mike?
Gosh. It's baseball season. We're happy about that.
Well, we mentioned that before,
the Padres suck, as usual. Yeah. There was a point where they were at 500, and I was kind of excited.
Oh, yeah. We're like with 10 games into the season.
They were 5-5, and now they're, 8-14 or something.
All right. We've talked about them. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
All right.
I just hope the end of May comes soon.
Yeah, I know. God, looking forward to that so much.
Yeah.
We're going to see everybody. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.